Welcome to the ABCs of Preschool podcast, inspiration and tips for moms, teachers, and childcare providers. I'm your host, Miss Amber, the early childhood expert with almost 30 years in the field and a proud mom too. I know you're busy chasing those littles, so let's get right to it. Hello, everybody. It's Miss Amber with the ABCs of Preschool podcast. Welcome back. It's a brand new year. It's a brand new chapter. I don't know about you, but I get really excited about the new year. Now, some of you may have had just a fabulous year, a fabulous 2023, and you just didn't want it to end because it was going so well. Or some of you may have had one of the hardest years of your life, and you've been counting down for weeks or months for this new year to be here. So wherever you are on that spectrum, it is a brand new year. When I look at new year, I see a new chapter, a blank chapter, and the closing of an old chapter. And I don't know, every new year brings things that we are not expecting. I think it's a really good thing that we do not see the future because holy moly, I think if we saw the future, we may be so scared to get out of bed and think, are we really going to face that? So I think it's a beautiful thing that we just have this very moment right now. This moment is all that we are promised. And I think that's the beautiful thing about starting a new chapter is because we can start writing an outline of like, how do we want this chapter to go? There's a lot of things that we try to control in our lives and that we can have kind of a general outline. I know I have some general goals. I have a general direction that I'm heading right now in my personal life and in business. But I also know that there's going to be things we never know what tomorrow holds. There's going to be things that come that are completely out of our control. And the only thing we control is how we adapt and how we move forward through the stuff that comes our way that we do not have control over. So if you've had a really difficult year, I am so sorry. I've been there before with very difficult years of moments, fetal position on the bathroom floor, thinking, I don't know if I can go another day like this. I don't know if I have the strength. I've also had the years that have been pretty extraordinary. And my 2023 was a really amazing year. And I've had a lot of really bad years too. And I think that's just the beautiful, messy part of life. There's always going to be the light. There's always going to be the darkness. There's always going to be the good. And there's always going to be the bad. So wherever you are at this moment coming into 2024, I think it's really important to honor where you are and give yourself that space and recognition of what you did go through, what you have accomplished, and where you are today as a person. I think a lot of speakers, and there's a lot of books out there about do, go, because the more you do, the more you go, the more amazing you are. And I think it teaches us our worth and being loved is in the busy and the doing and the go. And I know for a really long time, that's how I identified myself. And I always felt so good getting pats on the back because people would say, I don't know how you're juggling 4 kids and working and volunteering and how do you do it? And for a really long time, raising my kids, I thought that was amazing. I thought being busy was awesome. I'm rocking it. I'm the best mom. I'm volunteering. I'm juggling the preschools. I'm teaching. I'm have employees. I'm doing it all and have a clean house. I'm doing the laundry. But inside, it was this mask was over because inside I was so tired and struggling. And I equated being busy with love. I'm a good person if I'm busy. I'm a good person if people think that, oh, I'm so amazing because I'm juggling all these things. And the last 4 years, I've slowed completely down. I took away all the busy. And that was a really odd experience for me. I went from going 100 miles an hour to sitting on my couch in the middle of the day in silence, looking around like I have nothing going on. And it's so quiet. When you have littles, your life is going to be that quick roller coaster ride every single day. You're on your toes, you're moving nonstop every single day. And I get it. It's tiring and it's exhausting. So, where does the new year fit in for new moms, for you? Where does the new year fit in for entrepreneurs and business owners? I think the new year, and when it comes, it's here, it's blank pages in front of us. And as we dive into this a little bit further, I want to start off with saying you are enough just as you are. And that's something that I've really had to learn. And it took me a long time, I would say the last 4.5 years, to really grasp that. Like, I don't have to stay busy. I don't have to show the world how amazing I am and busy I am and how all the things I can juggle to be loved. I fell madly in love 4.5 years ago, and it was in my sabbatical time. That's what I called it. My kids were older. I had gone through a really traumatic divorce, was really still healing from that. And I knew I needed to step away from my schools for a year. And I had the most amazing team. So I took a 1 year sabbatical and started to learn how to be still, how to be quiet, and how to not have a constant list of things to do for my identity. And it was a process. It's been 4.5 years. And in that process, actually, I fell in love with an amazing man who now is my husband. And I traveled, he's a pilot. I traveled the world. It was just really healing. What I want to say before we go into like goals in the new year outlines is you are enough just as you are. And I truly believe there's different seasons in life. There's seasons where we're busy. There's seasons that we're really hard things come in our life and we have to pick ourselves off the floor and start again. There's seasons where it's calm and quiet and still, and we're learning to go inwards and listen to our inwards voice and not the outward voice, and not the noise around us. So life is about seasons. And I think life is about growing, but that growing and learning is up to you as a person. I think with social media, and there's so much noise out there, and there's so many people, I feel like almost preaching like, go, 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 do this, be better, the 4-hour workday. Like, it's like this constant hamster wheel of going and doing, and we're missing the stop and smell the roses part. Like, truly, like, life is moving so fast. You understand that. I get it. Like, it just seems like yesterday we were celebrating New Year's for 2023, and we are now in 2024. So life goes extremely fast. And what do you want your life to look at like? What do you want your life to look like this year for 2024? Let's forget about the goals or the lists or the things to do, but where do you want to be in 1 year? How do you want to feel? Like, how do you want to feel walking into 2024? And I think once you can dial in, like, how do you want to feel about maybe yourself, about your situation, about your life? It also will bring some like, okay, well, maybe I need to change this area or work on this area. A few years ago in my stillness and sabbatical, I started really learning how to live life very intentional. And I learned the art of saying no. And I think as young parents, you're working, you're juggling kid life, which is crazy in itself every single day. It's organized chaos. Like, every day is so different. There's so many balls in the air and there's so many hats you have to wear that it's really hard to live intentionally. But I think you can. I think that we can. And saying no to volunteering is okay. Saying no to being PTA mom is okay if you feel like you just don't have time to do it. I want to encourage you. I want you to know that you should be and are loved just as you are. And I don't think we have to always go, go, go and do to be someone important in this world. I think there's so much beauty in being still and calm, and slowing down is such a wonderful thing. And when we're busy all the time, when we're going, like that's also really stressful. And I'm one to say, I'm going to tell you right now, I ran and was so busy all the time. And that coping mechanism, I believe it was a coping mechanism for me because I was in a very difficult marriage at the time. I was stressed all the time. I may not have looked stressed, but I was stressed. And at 31, I had breast cancer. I had some heart issues. I had to have a full hysterectomy at 37. I've had just a lot of health issues. And I look back thinking, I think stress causes so many issues in our body too. So going into this new year, I want to encourage you to, it's awesome to set goals. I think goals are cool. I like to do generalized goals because I don't like to be like, oh, I'm going to lose 15 pounds this year, or I'm going to lose 20. For one, I don't even freaking like to get on the scale. It gives me anxiety. So I don't even get on the scale anymore. Even when I'm at the doctor's, I go to the doctor's a lot. I always say, do not tell me, I don't want to see it. But one of the goals may be, I want to be really healthy this year. And that's one of mine. My goal last year too was really focusing on my health and a general aspect. So just walking, like I'm really trying to walk every day and I've been really good with it. I'm walking. I'm eating better. I'm getting the sleep that I need is super important. I'm hydrating. I'm like drinking my 80 ounces of water every day, but it's a general goal because I think sometimes when we get so specific, if we don't meet that, it can feel like such a failure. So I think going into the new year with general goals. So like mine is continuing to be healthy. And I've done a lot of research on the blue zones. I freaking love doing research on the blue zone. It's really amazing. There's zones in the world that people are living a really long time. They have longevity, they're healthy. And part of it is being in a community, walking, moving their bodies every day, eating when they're like 80% full and not stuffing their face. Anyways, it's really interesting. There's a documentary on Netflix. I highly recommend it. But I try to live my days now like, ooh, did I live a blue zone kind of day? And those are just general things. They're not super specific because I'm going to have the cookie. I know myself. Like I know that I can't take sugar out of my life. Like I love sugar too much. I know it. That's probably a bad thing, but everything in moderation. So if I have one cookie at night, so be it because life is short. I think going into a new year, choosing a word of the year is really awesome. For years, I have chosen a word. And sometimes I've spoken it out loud. Sometimes I've journaled it, but it's been like my mantra. Like I choose a word and that's kind of like my thing. So last year I'm in my office and the word of the year was ambitious. And my theme was I wanted to live an extraordinary life. And I just can't believe it. I still have it written in my office on my whiteboard and how fast time is going. It's crazy how fast time is going. But I truly did live an ambitious year. And that's general. I didn't write goals on the bottom. That was just my theme. And last year I finished my book. I opened and got a new school going. I started this podcast and had to learn how to be a podcaster. So I would say that was a pretty ambitious year. But for me, I know what works is being very general. This year, my word is going to be centered. Going back inwards, I think is really important. I think that we have a lot of our answers, and I feel like inside our soul, or whatever you want to call it, is our compass. So my word this year for 2024 is centered. I want to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually calm and centered and grounded in everything I do. I just want to be grounded and feel like I know who I am. I'm strong within myself and I'm centered. And so I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but that's going to be the word I'm using this year is just being centered. And I encourage you to journal. I don't know if you do journal, but I think journaling as a business owner, as a parent, actually as any kind of person, I think journaling is awesome. You do not have to be a fabulous writer or a crazy good writer. Journaling is for you. I have literally been journaling since I was 10 years old. I have a giant box in my shed of journals from the years. And it's funny, it's hilarious to go back through and read where I was as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old, experiencing my first kiss, like all that stuff were in these journals. I think journaling is a really great way to stay centered, to stay grounded, or to stay like focused on your life living intentionally. I think choosing joy, like choose things in your life that bring you joy. Are there things right now, maybe people or things in your life that are not bringing you joy? I think as we grow up, as we mature, as we age, we see the importance of our space and boundaries and protecting our well being. And I think that's okay to set boundaries, like choosing things that bring you joy. I went from being really still, 4 years ago, I went on this sabbatical. I stepped away from my business a little bit. I learned how to be still. And I learned how to heal from recognizing that my coping mechanism for years was to stay busy. I got so much gratification from people coming to me and saying, "Oh, you're so amazing. How do you juggle 4 kids, volunteering, running your schools? Like, how do you do it?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. I just do." But that's how I felt love. I felt love and identified love as doing things, checking things off the list, checking goals off the list. That's how I identified as being good enough. But I think that's crazy and ridiculous. Like, you're good enough just as you are. If you choose to go down a path, what brings you joy? Like right now, like this podcast just brings me joy. I don't even know if anybody is even going to listen to it, but it brings me joy. I just wrote a book. Again, I don't even know if anybody will read it, but writing brings me joy. Now, going in and working a certain job or going and volunteering different places, if things do not bring me joy, I do not do it anymore. And I'm okay with that. But I encourage you, like journaling this last year too. I really did a lot of journaling for the last year and a half in the mornings. I tried to just have morning time. When you have little ones, it's really hard, but I encourage you to set aside some time for yourself every single day and journal. And it's cool to look back to see where you've come, how far you've gone, and how you were feeling. But yeah, it's a new year. There's blank pages. And I think it's cool to pick a year. Pick a word that's your focus. Maybe write some goals, some general goals. I think that sometimes when we get too specific, it could feel like a failure. But I think it is important for us as human beings to have a direction. We're moving in a direction. I think with purpose, it feels good to have purpose. It feels good to have like a path we're heading on, that we know where we're going. Now, life's going to throw us curveballs, because as much as you can journal, as much as you can write some general goals, as much as you can write your word of the year, you may be on track and things are going well, and bam, life hits. Bam, life hits. I've been there. I remember the morning my dad called me on my phone and my dad said, "Your mom's passed." I remember that. And at first your brain, I couldn't understand it. I could not even comprehend it. I had just seen her a few days prior. And I remember even saying, "Well, she passed out, call an ambulance. She passed out, call the ambulance." And he's like, "No, you need to come right away. She's passed." And I remember driving to their house. They're 15 minutes from me, seeing the police there and walking in and seeing my mom, who was no longer there. Her body was, but she was not. And life throws us really big curveballs sometimes. Life can be really hard sometimes. So when it's good, I almost look at it now like storing up all the good and all the joy and all the gratitude. So when we are in the mix of the darkness of the really hard, we can pull on all the good lessons we've learned. And life is going to throw us really hard things, even if you plan, even if you pick your word of the year, even if you write out your goals. It's just, how are you going to respond to them? What lessons are we going to learn from them? My mom's passing, it really opened up a spiritual side of me. And it was just it's been a beautiful thing. I think that all of us get to figure out life on our own. We all get to pick the paths that make us feel joyful, whether that's spirituality or non or whatever it is. The beautiful thing is we get to be the authors of our life for most part. And what does 2024 look like for you? How do you want to live with intention? What about your business? Like, where do you want your business to be this year? What are some business goals for your business, for your employees? Are you a mama? Like, what are some of your goals? Do you want to get more one-on-one time with your babies, individual babies? Do you want to, maybe you need more one-on-one time for yourself? And that's okay. I think as moms, as parents, we are so trained to give, give, give. And I think women in general, we are nurturers. We are naturally caretakers. So we give and give and give of ourselves until we are empty. And then I think that's where sickness can come in, stress, anxiety. I think it's okay to pause and take moments just for you, because I think that creates a better person. When we as humans can get rest, we can show up better for the ones that we love. So 2024 is here. I hope that it's going to be an amazing year for you. I hope it's going to be an amazing year for me. But with life, is going to come the light and the darkness. It's really like that yin and yang symbol. I've really got that a couple years ago of like, you have to have the dark to have the light. If you're coming out of 2024 and it was a rough year, it was like the worst year of your life, I'm truly sorry. But the good news is that you are still here. You are still trucking. And there's a new chapter ready and waiting to be written. And what do you want out of this year? Like, how do you want to feel every day when you wake up? And how do you want to feel when you go to bed? I think taking a good look at our lives and looking at, like, am I living with intention? Like, is this really the life I want? Before I left my almost 20-year marriage, I really had to start looking at this really deeply. And I remember specifically when it was my 5-year cancer anniversary, my doctor said, well, go live your life. And I really had to take a hard look at, like, how do I want my life to be? How do I want to feel when I wake up? Do I want to feel overwhelmed and stressed every morning I wake up? Or do I want to feel eventually loved just as I am? So it's okay to look inwards. I think looking inwards is the key to joy and happiness. I think gratitude is so important. I think journaling and waking up every morning, my husband and I wake up every morning and we start our day with gratitude. He'll say things he's thankful for, and I'll say things I'm thankful for. I think it's just a really great way to walk through life, of reminding ourselves that even in the hard, there is something to be grateful for. Welcome to 2024. If you're a business owner, if you're a mama, whatever you are, I think in life, I think it's great to journal. I think it's great to set goals and visions and words of the year, and like have an idea of where you're heading and how you want to feel and where you want to be. I think it's awesome. So I hope you spend a little time journaling. I know I'm going to journal and kind of make a map of this next year of what I want to do. Maybe you want to go travel. Maybe you want to go take a dance class, like do something fun. I think it's cool. But always remember that you are enough just as you are. I think just as humans, it's a good thing to grow. It's a good thing to stretch ourselves and learn, but we don't have to take on so much to be loved and to be enough. I think life is so beautiful that it's okay to stop, smell the roses, stop, plant the garden, tend the garden, spend time outside, go on that walk, sit on the couch and do nothing. I mean, it's okay. Rest is so important. Recharging and being centered and grounded within yourself is so important to be the best version of you. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to 2024. Cheers. It's awesome, exciting. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you here next week. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hear this podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next episode. For more information on how to work with me, Miss Amber, visit me at thelovingstartway.com or follow me on Insta at thelovingstartway.